again, I don't expect people in the world, to be any different in the way they act, think, or behave. In fact, I have been working out at a new facility, a new gym facility in my area, and met somebody who I'm getting kind of friendly with. Some man that we've been speaking about air purification, and today he spoke to me a bit. He said, "Yeah, I worked out my legs today," and then he said to me, "Yeah, I got 2 numbers from 2 girls today in the gym." And I'm thinking to myself, and he says, I didn't do anything. And I said, "Well, goody for you." As I walked away, I said, "Boy, you got 2 numbers, right? That's great. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything if you were to go on a couple of dates. It doesn't mean anything if you even got something sexual out of that woman. Big deal. What have you done to bond and make a relationship last with a woman?" I am not going to give up the road I'm on for some fleeting, temporary 3-month, 1-week, 6-month relationship that doesn't go anywhere. I'm uninterested in some sexual escapade that's going to leave me high and dry down the road wondering what happened. This happens so often with men and women in our age, and the reason why society doesn't know how to do it is because they just don't know how to do it anymore. And if you haven't learned that by now, if you can't see that in our government, with all the corruption that's still there, and it's been there for years, but it's still there, and now you've got the senators who, hiring prostitutes, and it just goes on and on, while their poor wives have to endure the agony of what their husbands did. Husbands and wives who just can't make it work in a relationship because they don't know how to, and here goes the man off into some brothel, and who knows if he might have used taxpayer dollars for that very purpose, And now there's another scandal that's out here in the world. Well, there's nothing new under the sun. I'm not saying anything that has not been true. My messages about husbands love your wives is the most important message that this world could ever hear, and then put it into practice. You're the fool, men. You are the fool of all fools if you do not learn how to love a woman rightly, because if you're going to be complaining about why you're not getting anything from your wife, or you're not getting anything, you just don't have a good relationship with your wife, well, both of you need to come to God. Both of you need to grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ, and both of you need to keep yourself in the love of God and be willing to pray together and to be willing to communicate to each other to the degree that you both recognize that the only way you're going to have a relationship that lasts is if you learn how to do things right. And that's something that only people can make up their own mind to do. But if you listen to this word, Jesus Christ promises not only fruit, but fruit that will remain. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. Most people don't believe that. Well, keep going the same route you're going. Que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. I'm going with the flow, and see how far you get. And then you're going to wonder why, when you had a chance to create the flow with a person, why it didn't work out. It's because you weren't willing to put energies into a relationship. It is going to take effort and work and commitment and love to keep it going. Effort, work, commitment, love, patience. All of these things can only be found in the person of Jesus Christ. I am the vine, and you are the branches. So remember what we read earlier that Jesus said, every branch in me? Well, he's talking about us as people. I am the vine, you are the branches. So we get the picture of Jesus Christ, and if you can get the picture of the being of Christ, all right, and then from him, we are attached literally to him. From within his heart, within his spirit, This is very difficult to communicate unless the Lord gives you insight into this. You just can't grasp this unless you have spiritual eyes to see and spiritual ears to hear, which only He could give. The seeing eye, the hearing ear, the Lord makes them all. If you can envision the being of Jesus somehow, and may He give you that envisioning to see this, and that from His heart, from His human spirit, from His spirit, we are one spirit with Him. The New Testament actually says, whoever joins himself to the Lord is one spirit with Him. One spirit. That means you got two beings that united as one, literally. It means that God has united with man, and we're one. We're one. One spirit. Whoever joins himself to the Lord is one spirit with Him. One spirit with Him. It has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with what you read in religious circles. It has nothing to do with what church you join. It has nothing to do with the organization you belong to, whether it's Jehovah's Witness or Mormon. They cannot understand what I'm talking about here unless God gives them the insight to see that it's about being grafted into the vine of the person of Jesus Christ Himself. I am the vine, you are the branches. See? So we are the branch or the planting of the Lord that's actually in Him, and He is in us. Why do you think He says earlier here, abide in me, and I in you? Abide in me, and I in you. Stay in the person, and I in you. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch, and is withered. And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. What is the lesson here? Stay in the person of Jesus so you'll have fruit, the fruits of righteousness which come by Jesus Christ. If you abide in me, and as you are abiding in me, remember I talking about the process is just as important as the outcome we're looking for? And my words abide in you. You will ask what you desire, and it will be done for you. And by this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and you will be, and prove to be, my disciples. And he goes on, these things I have spoken to you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy may be full. Verse 16, you did not choose me, but I chose you, and I appointed you, that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatever you ask the Father, in my name, He may give you. And then later on, Jesus spoke about we bear much fruit. Much fruit, fruit that remains. Without Jesus Christ, we can do nothing. If we abide in Him and He abides in us, the fruit comes, and we bear fruit. We bear fruit with patience, as it says in the New Testament. So my question tonight was, how are we doing abiding and waiting upon the Lord? How are we doing? Is it easy? No. It's easy if we stop looking with longing for our outcome in the prayers that we're praying. However, it isn't always possible because we do long for certain answers to prayer. We do have a desiring hunger for answers to prayer. And that's what keeps us asking and keep on asking. This is why we seek and keep on seeking. This is why we knock and keep on knocking. The parable of the unjust judge and the parable of the persistent friend is so clear that we have to keep on asking. And that will God not avenge His own elect who cry out to Him day and night, even though He bears long with them? And this is what can drive somebody really get angry with God sometimes, because they want something in their time, and they're not really unless they start to grow into a more deepening. And I'm still going and growing through this. So, I haven't arrived at some spiritual height of maturity where I'm just free flowing with never any angry days. There are days I get really, upset, but that's because that's just my emotions. I want certain answers to prayer now. I think, in my own way of thinking, I've waited long enough. Right? We all get to that point. I've waited long enough, God. Where's the answer to this? But as soon as I say that, I recognize, well, then wait a minute. It's not time. If it was time, the fruit was ready to be ripened, put in your sickle and reap, for the time of the harvest has come, then it would be just there.